Dobry ran. And now I have to switch to English. I'm super pleased to be in Prague. I used to come a lot for business here, and then as well for vacations. And it's so good for someone here on the stage to see a room full of people like today listening to you. Big thank you. What I'm going to do today, actually, we are going to talk about PPWR. I'm super sure and really confident that many of you were already reading the legislation. I'm sure that many of you were using markers to put it on the paper there, and maybe you have read a couple of times, the same paragraph. What I'm going to do today, I will not pretend by no means that I'm teaching a PPWR. What I'm really going to do, it's how you kind of think differently, how if I can inspire you on the way that PPWR can be really turned into a strategic approach here. Very good. That being said, actually, what I really want to say, PPWR is the largest packaging transformation Europe has seen in 30 years. And why I'm saying 30 years? Because I'm thinking here to the packaging and packaging waste directive from '94. But since then, there was never a big packaging law like this one in Europe, neither globally. What I'm saying as well here is not about how you are going to be impacted. Every single person in this room might be affected by that one. But it's really how fast and how creative you are going to tackle that moving forward, because that's really going to make the winners. Then, because every presentation is having a beginning, right, mid of the story and at the end, and then hopefully a happy end, what I'm going to do today, actually, I'm going to tell a bit about Via Packaging, UGN 360packmastery.com. It's about us. Then we will go into PPWR and key requirements, and they're really specifying how you tackle this in a way that is really giving you a competitive edge. And again, this is only for inspiration. And last but not least, actually, how you are really going, have to tackle the whole strategy on PPWR if you have to tackle today. Because to wrap up from the beginning, or really to kind of say it from the beginning, is not only I have the law here, I have to comply the law. Yes, you can do that. Everyone is going to do that. But at the end of the day, there will be others which are going to be more creative and go beyond the law. Then, obviously, starting with a small introduction. And what you are seeing here is the story of intrapreneur that moved into the stage of entrepreneur. I was spending almost 25 years in corporate, always as a packaging guy, and really starting there from qualifying packaging with users in focus group, then running them on the line, either changing lines, either implementing lines with the factory. Actually, this is one of the humblest experience, being down there with the ground on the people that are going to make happen the packaging changes. Because at the end of the day, we see them in the marketplace, but they all happen in a factory, and everything starts there. And then, sorry, just going back a bit. What we are doing today, actually, after those 25 years in corporate, I'm really focusing on 3 directions with the new company, with Via Packaging UG. The first, it's driving change with consortiums. And why that? Because the change is so big, it's so transformative, that needs a systemic change. Everyone, every single person across the value chain has to really contribute to the change ahead. And that's why I'm collaborating with a couple of consortiums. And actually, some of the people in this room are members of those consortiums. The second one, 360packmastery.com. You have always, and I guess many of you are in corporate, I'm sure you have your own dreams. I'm sure you have something in mind that you want to do one day. And I had exactly the same. My story is I started like for a huge, fantastic company, amazing company. I was the first packaging engineer in Europe. What a great way to start. Because you really have to work with everyone. You have to work with your business. You have to work with every single function in your business. You do have to work as well with your packaging supplier. You have to work with packaging agencies, with a lot of external partners. And actually, because you're just from the school, getting really the diploma on a Saturday, and even that was not finalized, you know, even the ink was not drying up, and then starting already working Monday, you know, that you are really having you have the fantastic baggage from the packaging school, but you need as well the industry experience. And working a lot with the outside partners, you are learning a lot. What I was looking always actually since that first year, how I can have a place where I go and then I find one place where I go and I find the most relevant information for that job. And that's how was the 360 Pack Mastery was built there. It's really a platform, very much in the PPWR, telling what are you will see there a bit more details, but really giving insights and solutions on how to tackle PPWR. Last but not least, supporting organizations on how they tackle PPWR. And why is this important? One of the most questions I'm getting those days, can you have an external look? Because as an independent person, you know, as an independent company, you are really could be very neutral there. And then people, what they do usually, because they are all planning the way forward, what they want to make sure that they did not miss anything. And why that? In packaging, we all know you are doing the strategy today, but this is going to be implemented in a couple of years. And then for this implementation, you really have to make sure that if you invest into something, you did the right investment there. Very briefly on PPWR, because we really want to go into what's most important for you. On 360 Pack Mastery, we are driving three things: PPWR, what the law is saying, summarized, you know, and on the other side, telling the solutions to that. And then the solutions specific into the trends. Many companies are looking into monomaterials for flexible, right? It's a huge trend. That's really the direction there. Then there are molded fibers. Paperization, it's one of the biggest trends. It's a lot happening on inks and coatings as well there. And last but not least, country fact sheet. This is really public available information summarizing what are the law a packaging developer should be looking like, what are really the bans, what are really the packaging eco-design requirements, what's the waste management infrastructure, because what you want actually, it's really, those days it's a huge difference versus the past. In the past, as a packaging engineer, you go to your colleague packaging regulatory, they are helping you with all the information you need. Those days, you could not develop a packaging without knowing law. That's a huge difference versus the past. And last but not least, what are really the resources? What are the right links for design for recyclability? What are LCA tools for packaging? What are LCA tools for production overall? Or visualization tools, or palletizations, whatever which is really helping a packaging guy to say, I go there and I have a lot of info I need to do correctly and rightly my job today. Very briefly, and I'm going to wrap up there, what it's in for brand owners, first, saves time. One of the biggest challenge those days is you have no time in packaging. It's much busier than ever was before there. And actually, Jeff, I have to give you a credit. The picture you had before, that's exactly what happens in packaging today. You have really to tackle so much things and so much different things at the same time quite often. And then if you really have all the info, all the insights summarized in a super simple way, easy to access, where you have your lunch break and then you have a quick reading for a country, that's helpful. Then PPWR spot-on solutions and obviously key insights and resources. And on packaging supplier side, there is the visibility. The visibility to their sustainable solutions, because that's what we want actually. We want really to promote those good solutions. And at the end of the day, matchmaking between the brand owners with their needs and challenges with the packaging solution suppliers. I wrap up there because now we go really to the middle of the presentation, the most important one. Then PPWR key requirements. How backwards actually. When I saw PPR, what comes to your mind? I'm really curious. I put a massive challenge there. What else you would say? Sorry? Challenge. Anything else? Opportunity. Anything? Cost. Yes, so right, cost. Anything else? But let's move forward. It's other departments' responsibility. It happens that way, You talk with some people, I'm not going to say functions, but our functions say it's not our responsibility. What do you mean? That's packaging, or that's packaging regulatory. No way. This is so huge. You cannot really put the responsibility that is going to set up the future of the business more than any product innovation into one single department. No way. This is really a business responsibility those days there. Actually, I had really to do the training in a big company, and the packaging guys were telling to me, was arranged by packaging guys, you did so much for us. And I said, what? You made others realize it's their responsibility. When you talk about labeling, it's supply chain responsible as well there, because when you are kind of having new labeling, you have to phase in out stock to get the old things out and the new things in there. Everything is changing. You have to do investment as well on the line. It's going to affect the whole supply chain. It's going to affect marketing. It's going to affect IT, even IT. Why? Because if you think to EPR, for example, another super important topic, you cannot say, I'm going to get the Excel table for Czechia, I don't know, the Excel table for Germany, I will put them together. No. In the new AI time, you really have to digitalize as well your processes there. And the other thing, actually, what I'm really keen on it, how you really kind of do this as a source of competitive advantage. Because if it's done smartly, this is how PPWR can be done. Then moving forward, starting with the big umbrella. Everything started with the European Green Deal, which gave the direction. Then we have really the new Circular Economy Action Plan that was really triggered the essential, was kind of saying we are really going now to change the law there. And then afterwards came the law, because what you are going to see here today is very much about Law 40. Now it's having really a number there from 2025 from European Commission. Then, in scope of PPWR, its whole value chain, life cycle accountability. Here it's producer, converter, component supplier, retailer, HoReCa. Then applies to all type of packaging. This is not only about plastic. Just to be really clear, this is really tackling household packaging, it's tackling as well C&I packaging, it's business to business, it's as well business to consumer, and then really kind of is tackling as well all packaging constituents. Very important to keep that in mind. And then impact to whole EU 27, and then as well including imports here. I was in a forum and someone was saying, yeah, but we supply the stuff from a different continent, and I'm not giving the continent. They mentioned there. That should not apply to us. No. You are putting stuff on the market. You are first to put packaging on the market in Europe. That's really going to affect you there. Then, key requirements. And what I really want to make sure here, this is not really, I want to set up the stage from the beginning. This is not, as I was saying, a law advice, This is only for informational purposes. I really would like you to think that way, that it's so complex, this regulation, whatever you are doing should be allowed fully with your laws and regulatory departments moving forward. But going into the key requirements, let's say here, I mentioned some of the most critical ones there. Substances of concern, recyclability, recycled content, reuse and refill, packaging minimization, which used to be very much the Cinderella. It's so important, this one, because at the end of the day, all the PPWR, it's kind of linked to waste management direct hierarchy, where prevention and minimization is one of the first things there on top. Then EPR, packaging restrictions, because there are restrictions as well there. Deposit and return system. Yes, I think it's actual topic in Czech Republic. Compostability and biodegradability, and as well last but labeling. Again, those are 10, which I think are most the critical ones. And again, this is not the exhaustive list, are more requirements in there. Now we are really going to go one by one in a few of those key requirements, and we are really going to highlight how those could be turned into a competitive advantage. First, I really want to highlight that one. The first requirement is 2026. PFAS and then certificate conformity declaration. This should be already done for 12th of August 2026. This is super short in packaging. Everyone knows, whoever was in packaging development, the time is long in packaging. There are so many stuff, it's so much focus into details. Those are really taking time there. This is, I really want to share out that, there are things coming already next year. We are going to have stuff coming in 2028, in 2030 there. But again, there are things coming next year. Substances of concern. PFAS. These are more than 1,000 substances. There are bans coming into place next year in food contact packaging. Because what everyone is thinking, this is a sustainability law. No. PPWR is tackling sustainability, but as well health. It's really kind of considering both of them. It's not one single direction. And then frankly, you cannot really split them there. You really have to treat them together. Then heavy metal concentration limit. Then national restriction on non-circular substances. Because member state, each of them, they can add other substances on the top of the existing one. This one here on my back looks super simple. It's extremely complicated. Why? I give you a very practical thing. It's kind of mentioned there, you see? It's kind of expected to cover both intentionally and non-intentionally added substances. Just adding on your line because you have your wrapping material running faster might add PFAS into your product. Again, I'm really kind of highlighting this is something super, super critical to not be forget. Not thinking even to recyclability, to recycle content, all the rest. This is really coming just around the corner here. Next one, another big one, huge one. Recyclability. And then here, this is really kind of, I would say, the very smart. You could imagine, you could see there. I really think the law is driving a big change there. It's really tackling recyclability by design. That means you really have to make your packaging recyclable by design. But on the other side, this should happen in practice as well. And I'm going to start with the first one. What you are going to see, the introduction of grade for recycling and as well score for recyclability at scale. That means you see the design and then as well that really a practice there. And you are going to see that by 2030 will be only packaging that are 70% recyclable by design that are going to be allowed on the market. By that time will be not recyclable at scale score. But nevertheless, that's going to be introduced in 2035. And then it's really going to be even tougher because by 2038, only packaging that will be 80% recyclable by design will be allowed on the market. What that means? That means it's a huge push towards monomaterials, right? Because more you have one material, and ideally simplified structure, it's easier to recycle there. We all know there are really differences between recyclability. Then, what means recyclability at scale? You see that recycling rate target, 55% of all plastic packaging should be recycled. That's the target by 2030. That alone target, it's applied for flexible packaging. Think to all the flexible plastic packaging by 2035. It's a huge target. To get to 55%, I have a question. What numbers do you think should be here on all those three dimensions? On collections, as well on sorting and recycling. What's the number? It's a 60%, it's a 50%, it's a 80%? Any try? 90%? It's 82%. Because 82, multiply with 82 is giving 55, something. This is a huge number. Just think to all flexible packaging to get 82% collection, 82 sorting out of that one, and 82% recycled out of that one. It's really a very, very high number. But then, more is going to come, and I'm watching timing as well here. It's going, design for recycling guidelines are going to come by 2028. Very important. Why I'm really going to highlight on this one? If you are just waiting to 2028 and you will hope that we'll be ready by 2030, I would say simple, that could be a mission impossible. And especially if you have multiple locations, multiple factories, multiple lines. Because even if you have, to do sometimes to move from one packaging format to another one, or even from one packaging material to another one, it's a long process to be implemented there. And actually, what I would suggest always, things should be really moving right now in that direction by implementing things right now. Don't even think if the infrastructure is ready, if the waste management infrastructure. No, please do your stuff, because you will be in a much better position later. One of the big challenges I would see it actually is to qualify now and to wait for later for implementation. I think it's kind of use this chance to really be one of the first on the market doing this. Then how you can turn this into a competitive advantage? First, design for recycling. As I said, do it now. Because what you could do, cut EPR cost, you have a better business case, and very important, something that many people forget. Everyone is thinking PPWR, we are complying with the law. Yes, make your packaging recyclable, but there is one huge thing you cannot miss out there. Make sure your user, your shopper, your consumer is happy. Bless you. Because you can do a packaging change, you can make a packaging sustainable, they will buy you twice, they will buy once, twice, but they might not buy you a third time if they have a poor experience. And they might go to your competitor. That's why it's super important to think already this from now on actually. On top of adding your, let's say, EPR lower cost, will really help the whole proposition is going to be stronger. The other thing, participate in pilot projects, and especially for materials like flexible packaging, plastic packaging, or really those initiatives where it's a big challenge there. Be one of the company to participate in those projects there. Be one of the front runners, because you are going to be the one that is going to be reminded by people. People are going to keep that in their mind. That company was really before anybody else. They were pioneer. Everyone likes pioneers there. And you are really building a strong brand equity that way. Market access and scale. The whole PPWR regulation, and that's a big thing actually, super important to mention. The 94 was a directive. This is a regulation. That means this must be implemented. This will be really transported in the national law. Every single member state has to do it. It's a really huge change versus before there. And then what's going to drive it's more harmonizations. More you are really kind of drive solutions that are going to be really relevant for Europe, you can drive better scale actually. But if you really keep up into something here, it's really call to actions to act it now. Do it more than thinking to sustainability, think as well to user experience, to the whole proposition there. Because you might change again a material from material A to B because it's better on recyclability, but as well you have to think, you might change from format A to format B actually there. It might be those changes as well moving forward. Then minimum recycled content are going to be key measure, that's another big one. And then one of the biggest challenges is going to be on this area. For contact sensitive application, other than PET, the 10%. In PET, it's mechanical recycling. Yes, you can use it from food into food, right? From water to water, right? But that for other packaging materials, you see flexible and other than PET, this 10%, it's really something people should look from now on. Then we have for contact sensitive on PET, 30 and 50, single-use plastic beverage bottle, 30 and 65 by 2030 and by 2040, obviously. And then other plastic, 35 and 65 there. Very important to keep in mind, this is for all level of packaging. It's not only you have primary packaging, this applies as well to C&I. That means you cannot say, I'm just going to take care about sales packaging or the part that is going with consumer. No, you have really to think to everything there. And this is one of the very sensitive ones. This might look sometimes even naive because you say, yes, but how you can say implement this one because we know all the solutions. Embedded PCR could be more expensive today than virgin. And that's exactly the reality. You know, when you move, right now, virgin is cheaper than recycled plastic. But if you do the implementation now, secure feedstock now, you are going to get priority access for later on before the others. If you let it to the end, you might be let completely out there. Even now, might be too late. Cut cost structurally. There are really countries where you include, and including Czech, right? You do recycle, you put RPET here, you have lower fees. There are many countries where this is modulated and will be more and more in the future. They will modulate, they have to do it in the future. All the countries for recyclability, but many will do it for recycled content. Because as you do it for recycled content, you really pull the whole circularity economy by pulling out that demand. Then add more PCR than requested into PPWR. This might look crazy again there. Yes, might look crazy, but that's the way you really kind of claim, because if you are going to put more than is there, you really can promote your packaging there. And there is something very, very important here. Users, shoppers, they really understand it. They understand recyclability. They really understand recycled content. And at the end of the day, what's the job of every packaging guy? It's not only to think, I have to do my small piece here. No, they have really to think as the business leaders. How they are going to do that? You're saying, maybe to really kind of implement PCR, I'm really going to lightweight my packaging. I'm going to change the shape to be even more, to have more strength. But I can put less plastic into there, for example. And then I can afford to have PCR inside there. At the end of the day, if it's one big thing extremely important here, it's as a packaging engineer and a packaging leader, packaging director, whatever, how you create value. How you kind of get moving those, let's say, solutions, but really creating value and making sure it's not about cost. Then, packaging prevention minimization. I'm watching out to the time, and that's why I'm going to rush a bit there. There are targets, -5%, -10%, -50% on different years. And it's really to reduce packaging waste for inhabitant versus 2018. That's another very ambitious target. We are going to have there as well, that means packaging should be reduced by weight and as well by volume. And then empty space in transport or e-commerce packaging must be less than 50%. Any space occupied by the filer, it's going to be considered empty space there. The opportunity, what we see here, is minimize head space and weight, and then communicate to users while doing so. You know, because that's, everyone maybe is waiting, who is going to be the first one who is going to be minimizing packaging? Be the first one to do it there, but tell it to users, because they will love you for doing that. If you say, yes, we have a small packaging, marketing might be challenging you, saying, yeah, but we have less space for branding. But if you are really going to have the right communication with your users, with your shopper, with your consumers, you might get traction because they realize you are doing the right thing there. Then, another one, EPR, extended producer responsibility. There are going to be key requirements here. This is going to be one of the key, most strategic things moving forward. All member states should have really in place EPR scheme with eco-modulation. And moving forward, what's the opportunity here? And I'm sure many of you might not agree with me here, but I have to say, EPR, it's an investment. EPR is not a cost. That's the mindset we have to change. We have to move from cost to investment. And how you could think there, just imagine, I'm going to pay a bit more EPR, but that money is going to be invested in waste management infrastructure. Then we are going to be able to have recyclability at scale, and then I can keep my products, my offering on the market. What you pay, what's that small investment versus how much you lose if you have not your packaging compliant versus not net sales lost there. It's incomparable. That's why the new mindset should be EPR. It's a strategic tool there. Make it part of your decisions. You know, you might be influencing packaging decisions here, or you might be in touch with your colleagues from central locations that are driving change, because quite often packaging people and others, you know, are located in central location for those massive changes there. You cannot do decisions on packaging today without considering EPR fees today, and as well how those could be in the future. Because for sure will be an evolution. If you have to get a 55% recyclability rate for flexible packaging, for sure EPR should have been higher, because you might have to pay gate fee to recycle more materials. But really, these, you know, the smart ones there might be really looking into the future, saying how this is going to be, how this is going to influence my business case in the future. And then design smarter, pay less. Think about that. As I was saying before, if you design smarter, choose right material, choose less, minimize them, you will pay less EPR fees. Your business case is going to be better. Your value proposition is going to be better that way. And last but not least, that data-driven advantage. Transparency legacy. Time, you know, was good some days back. But now we really have to think how we are really going to get all the data, because there will be much more transparency needed moving forward in a super way with a click to get the data available. Again, last but not least, you know, if I let you with another thing from today on, please really consider EPR as an investment. PPWR timing recap. This is just to show, we can talk 2 hours on this one, how many things are going to come in a super short time. A lot of them right there. And you have to keep track on all of them moving forward. Another thing, there is more regulation than only PPWR. Very important, you know, there is PPWR, but there is much more packaging regulation. You go in Europe, you know, FCM, Inc. ordinances, REACH, plastic for food contact, recycled plastic regulation. National level are national laws which could go above and beyond PPWR. They might request even more. You know, they want to have more in reusability, one market versus the others there. They are allowed to do so if they go more. DRS, EPR, you know, which might still probably have differences across the country. And then it's the global plastic treaty as well, you know, that is continuously a conversation there. Call to action, you know, this is really the last slide here. How to tackle the first one, the whole PPWR. First, understand the requirements, really understand them in out. The other one is kind of taking the current portfolio and reviewing them format by format, packaging per packaging, material per material. And then, very important as well, every MPD should target D4R, developing line with PPWR. I'm just going to make a bracket here. I said that one of the humblest experience for the packaging guys is really to go on the lines, to really get packaging qualified there. There is another one, at least, if not even more humble. When you develop something, go visit one sorting line, one manual sorting line. That's one of the best experiences as a packaging developer you could have, and the most humble one. And I mean that one. Then internal call to action, make it a company board conversation. I think, again, all what I'm sharing, it's my opinion here as an independent person. I do think it's very important to kind of make sure this is part of the board conversation, a C-class, all the finance people, you know, the CEO, the finance, the marketing head, R&D head, all the board members should be aware of this one. You might resist as a company without changing products for the next 10 years. But in principle, if you don't comply with PPWR, you cannot keep your products on the market there. That's why really it's important that more than ever before, this is really going to be elevated to the right level there. And then last but not least, holistic packaging strategy, including PPWR, but much bigger. You cannot say, I'm just going to put my glasses, PPWR glasses, I look to my portfolio, I change that one. It's much more than that. You have really to look the whole strategy, how all the packaging format, the whole portfolio is looking together, how it is that today, where that should be in the future, including driving on user and consumer needs, and really kind of moving into that direction that you cover everything at once. Summing up, this was the last slide. I really wanted to say that one again, ending where I started. PPWR is really one of the biggest transformations ever there. Everyone, every single company from this room will be touched. Every single company has to really kind of deliver, to be compliant to it. The ones who are going to make the difference and be the winner of the future are the ones that are going to be fast, they are going to do it well, and they are going to be creative. Use your chance being in packaging today because it's your chance in a generation. Thank you for listening.
Great. Thank you very much. I'll take the clicker. So we do have about 7 minutes for some questions. If you have any questions, there are already some there. You can add them in by scanning the QR code. You can ask in Czech, I'll translate it, or in English, as you like. I did have one question at the beginning. You mentioned sorting lines, and you mentioned to us privately that you visited Sacco Brno. And I'm sure you've seen others around Europe as well. How does it compare? How's the technology that you saw there?
I don't want to say how it compares, but I really want to say it's a good example how the future could be looking like.
Yeah. Okay, good. Let's go right to the questions. We have some here. So first question, could you give some examples of packaging which has been adapted already because of PPWR? What companies are in the forefront? Who's been doing a lot of extra work on it?
There are companies there, I'm not going to do promo, but watch out the companies, big FMCGs or whatever, because there are some really companies that are forefront there. If a company embedded recycled content, mass balance, for example, in their flexible packaging, it's already good direction. It's already moving into very right direction there. If another material companies did implement it, and there are quite a few, you see a lot of news those days. A company implemented PE monomaterials or a PP monomaterials. It's again moving into that direction. That means there are really quite, I would not say tons of them, but there are clearly a few front runners there. And I have the name, obviously, of them in my hand.
You're not going to say it?
I cannot say. I will not do it.
You're going to be a diplomat.
I know, I'm independent. Keep in mind that one.
You're independent. Exactly. Good. Next question, then. I don't know if you've been following Czech legislation. There was attempts to have a bottle deposit return system, but it didn't pass, and now there's a new government coming in. So it has no bottle deposit system. Is it possible for a country to meet PPWR targets without a bottle deposit system?
I think it's much more to the country, I would say that one, but I really want to have to say something. When I see countries, there are countries that they implemented that system, it's working extremely well. Mm-hmm. And actually it's working, I see a country, another, there is a country where I see there, it's the form, people are really doing, bringing their stuff in there, but it's a lot of informal collection which is happening. Yeah. And what happened actually, people coming with big sacks, I just seen it in the beginning of this week actually to really kind of bring it there. They're collecting from whatever. That means, in my opinion, it's a system that's working. Yeah. I give the example of Germany where the collection rate are moving into there at 98%. Mm-hmm. That means really it's a system that is working and it's helping. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
one issue less if you do that, I would say.
See what the new government here decides to do with that.
Is anybody for government here?
Coming.
I would strongly suggest that every measure it's really helping.
Yeah, good. I assume you follow all types of ESG issues from Brussels, and you know that the ESG reporting was delayed with the omnibus. Any chance that PPWR will be canceled, delayed, or lightened, as in your opinion?
Let me say, Jeff, this one here, this is the most, whenever I'm going into a webinar, into a presentation, this is the question I get most. Really, this is the question I'm getting, and I hope, I can tell you, I see even some hope there that will be get delayed. I am always responding differently. Everything is possible in this world, but if you are on the market and your competition is already moving in that direction, you could wait for it to happen if they already move. They are really going to take your users, they are going to take your shoppers. That's whatever is happening. I would say, no, just moving to the right direction now. And then, in my opinion, will anyhow happen.
Yeah, but
Will anyhow happen.
But anyways, what you've been saying is do it anyway.
Do it
it's
anyway,
an opportunity.
exactly, because will happen.
Yeah. And
Just
even if
move
it doesn't
now.
happen, it's good for your business.
Exactly, because you can use the time even now, actually. You talk with consumers, you tell to them what you are doing. You are engaging them. You are really going to kind of have them loyalize for you for later on. That means I cannot repeat enough, move it now. I have people saying, yeah, but that's an excuse, really an excuse. We don't have design for recycling. They will come later, by 2028. What? You have so many design for recycling guidelines. You take those, just moving into that direction, you have a high probability you are going to be spot on the regulation. You move clearly in the right direction there. Again, don't wait, move now, whatever it takes.
And do it regardless of what Brussels does.
Yeah, but you have to do it creatively, because you cannot go, very important, Geoff. You cannot go to say to your CEO, look, that's a huge investment we have to do, we have to be sustainable. You, as a packaging leader, whatever you are, to whatever level in the organization, you really want to say, look, is this new law coming? This is how we are going to create the value for our business, and you are really going to come with a holistic proposition. You cannot simply go to us, please sign us the check because we are going to be super green. No, it's not working that way, in my opinion.
Yeah. Good. One more question. We have a minute and a half, so just enough time to answer it. Could you please comment on the reuse and refill targets? They seem quite challenging for some markets.
Yes, and for some packaging materials, indeed.
Yeah.
For some transport packaging materials, where it's our big conversation. But I really want to say, very importantly there, PPWR is the first European regulation that is tackling reuse. Really, is the first regulation that is tackling. And they might be challenging, but again, there are startups, there are many companies doing pilot projects. And I think really, as much challenging they are, the winners are the ones that are going really to move from the pilot to scale that up, which is a huge jump. They have to do exactly the way you are showing here. But, as challenging they are, I think there could not be reuse. And again, I'm going back to the waste management hierarchy. Minimization, prevention, the first thing there. Then it's reuse, the second one, and then it's recycle. All of them, it's important, but really, the whole PPWR is tackling all of them.
Can't just do one or the other, you have to do it all.
No, and you cannot, again, you cannot have a strategy to say, we don't like reuse because it's too challenging refill. We have to forget that one. If you may have a packaging strategy for your business and you don't have reuse there, forget it. Maybe I want to make a comment. I might be a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. That's from the song.
Great. Okay, well, thank you very much. Thanks for the great questions as well. Thank you, Marius Tent, for the incredible presentation. Marius will be here the entire day, all the way till the evening, available if you want to enter into discussion, ask some questions. One-on-one, he'll be here all day. So,
thank you very much for
Thank you very much for coming.
A lot.
Thank you.